at Fiddle, corner of John Street South at Augusta. We had the Whiskey Acers duo earlier. We have Mcguire coming up. And of course, our host, famous Framus.
Thank you, sir. A lot of fun with that one there. It's really not cool. Sometimes it's the paints that you get you, not the jobs.
Oh, don't forget, tomorrow night we will be having an exclusive first. We will be broadcasting the Shakers live to air starting at around 10:30 tomorrow evening.
That's
Eastern
amazing news for Tunes Radio.
So,
We're expanding our universe.
Dave Ray approached us and thought it would be a good idea. And with their new album out, we had the Shakers here
Yeah,
in the
that
fall.
was a fun hell of a, that was a show and a half.
Indeed, it was. So please be tuned for that.
Well, that's great. Is that going to be on the Facebooks and all that too, or just on the radio?
Just the radio.
The Connect Tunes.
Yeah.
Connect Tunes, and then the details will be posted on Facebook.
Live to air.
Live to air.
We're expanding.
Expanding,
Huge.
looking forward and up. So looking up.
Looking up. Yeah, that's all we can do.
Indeed,
we
yes.
We may trip over some shit if we're walking around and we're looking up too high.
Right.
But, we're moving forward nonetheless.
So you're always looking at your number one, but you don't. You got to step around number two.
Exactly. Well, that's not a great segue to our next guest, but
No.
it's the best we've got. We're happy to welcome. We're happy to, no offense is taken, Michael Mcguire, but we are so happy to have you on the show, and welcome to Connect Tunes Radio. Shake it up here at the Cat and Fiddle.
Well, thank you. I've been introduced worse. Not to worry.
Thank you.
Not to worry.
Not to worry. Well, what a great pleasure to have you on the show.
Oh, you tell nice lies.
Well, my boss makes me, so.
Well, doesn't take much to bend you.
No, I'll tell you that. It's Valentine's Day after all.
Yeah.
We're all about love today.
Yeah, well, really? I was out playing last night, and it's called Mistress Day.
Oh,
Oh.
The day before
uh-huh.
Valentine's Day is Mistress Day.
Wow, that's
All the guys, all the dummies come out with their mistresses and go to the same restaurants they're going to go the next day with their wife.
I've never heard of that in my life, Mcguire, and I don't know anybody.
Well, you're not old enough, that's why.
That's even broached that like that. But nonetheless, you're here, your guitar's here, and how about hitting us with the 7-string special to get us kicked off, and we'll get into it.
Okay, this tune was written by Duke Ellington. I got to replay it right here. Hit me with a hot note and watch me bounce. Hit me with a hot note and watch me bounce. When trumpets heat up, give me a rub to beat up. Just hit me with a hot note and watch me bounce. Hit me with a hot note and watch me burn. Slide me down the rhythm from the center to the stern. When sax sails flare up, how do I keep my hair up? Just hit me with a hot note and watch me bounce. Stop that trombone sliding while my 10-3. Keep that tempo riding, and I'll come and run it on the beat. I said, hit me with a hot note and watch me bounce. Like we have a million great amounts. Oh, let the beat play. We're gonna have a heat wave. Just hit me with a hot note and watch me bounce. Stop that trombone sliding while I gather steam. In that tempo riding, and I'll come in running on the beam. I'll say, hit me with a hot note and watch me bounce. I'll be having a really good break. amounts. Oh, let the beat play. We're gonna have a heat wave. Just hit me with a hot note and watch me burn. Oh, hit me.
Yes. I think we'll be hitting some virtuosity there today.
Wow.
It's all smoke and mirrors.
Nice work, sir.
He's got the mirrors.
What's the extra string? I'm fascinated.
Well,
What does it do? What does it do for us?
it puts a bass player to work.
You're saving yourself $50 a night.
At least, maybe more. No, and just because you had mentioned you didn't think it was difficult to get 6 and having an extra one, you didn't know what to do with it. Well, if you tune it like I tune it, it's just the same.
Yeah.
Because it's tuned to an A.
Tuned to an A.
Yes. Rock and rollers and heavy metal guys like to keep fourths on the bottom, and that would make it a B. It makes it awkward to play chords that fall under your hand if you use an A. So you play a D chord like this. Kind of thin, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, now the ass is back in the band.
Yes. There you go. Bottom end there. Bottom end on the top of the guitar.
No, it's the bottom of the
It's the
guitar.
bottom.
The top of the guitar is the high points.
Who's on first?
What's on second? The bass goes on third. So, this isn't my idea, by the way.
Okay, that was my next question. What was your inspiration behind this?
His name is George Van Ness. You can look him up on YouTube. George played a 7-string guitar back in the 30s and 40s. And he said he wanted to make the guitar sound like a piano, and his wife argued that it would be a lot easier to play piano on a piano.
But a piano doesn't fit in a guitar case.
No, it doesn't. And it doesn't sound the same either.
Right.
So, with this thing in it, we get to do things like. Without having to pay a bass player.
Yeah. Get that nice bass buzz too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you're really weird, you play it all on dead strings. I only change it maybe twice a year. Because I
Okay.
hate the sound of that twang.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
Dwayne Eddy's $1 million worth of 40 bucks. I should say I hate it. I just prefer it to be dead. That way, it sounds like a string bass.
And when you were inspired to go with the 7-string, is it something that did you modify guitars that you had, or a guitar you had, or did you purchase a 7-string guitar? Like, how did that?
Well, this came about because in the mid-90s, from about 92, I was teaching a gentleman who was a luthier, and he listened to me whine. Actually, it was before that, because we didn't get it finished until around 2000. Anyway, he listened to me whine about wanting a 7-string guitar. And one day he came in with a parts list, threw it on a desk and said, "That's what it'll cost for the material. I'll show you how to build one, so put up or shut up." That's a quote. So we did. We built 2, one for me and one for him. This one is mine, and I built it.
Nice.
And by the time we got to putting the bindings on, this dark stuff around the outside edges,
Yes.
you guys would know, but for the audience outside, they don't.
Yes.
He figured out that glue and I don't get along. So he put the bindings on, but all the other work, I didn't spray it, he sprayed it. All the other work is mine, and it's my design.
Nice.
Nice. Yes.
And we have the sister of it at home, because after I got it and got used to playing it, I called Charles and said, "Don't get too upset, I'm gonna go buy another 7-string guitar. Just in case something happens to this one," which did happen. But I didn't have to buy another 7 because he said, "I'm not using mine. So you can have mine under 2 conditions. 1, you can't sell it.
Right.
2, when you die, I get it back. And I don't care what kind of shape it's in."
That's a long contract.
That's a long contract. And I said to him, well, what happens if you die first? He said, idiot, you can keep it. So,
And that's when you started planning his demise.
no, Charles is still alive, and he's my real guitar tech. If I need new frets put in, I call him up and I say, hey, frets, that sort of stuff.
Cool.
So these guitars were built in the 90s.
Yeah, this was finished in 2000.
2000, okay. So we're looking at a quarter century. It's just the molecules are lining up, and the guitars are sounding nicer and nicer as they age.
Yes.
No doubt. Yeah.
But I don't think I'll ever go back to a six-string guitar.
No,
I wouldn't know what to do without.
you'd be looking for that extra string.
Yes. And I really don't play well with others, so. I get to
Well, you're right here in the right place here to take it up radio at the Cat and Fiddle.
I get to play along all of the time. The best part is nobody argues about what material we're going to play,
Right.
and I get to keep all the money.
All the good. You get to keep the bucket. The bucket is all yours. It's tough giving up a bucket sometimes.
Take care, Marcus. See you later.
Cheers. Thanks.
Thanks. Thanks again, guys.
Well, how about hit us with something else on that seven space? Mcguire.
It had to be you. Honey, it's gotta be you. I wanna look around and finally find somebody who can make me be true and then be so blue. I need to be like just to be sad, thinking how of you. Some others I see, they might never be me, might never be cross or try to be false, but they wouldn't do. But nobody else gave me the thrill. With all your faults, I love you still. It's gotta be you, that wonderful you. Yes, I had to pay you. Honey, it's gotta be you. I wanna look round and find somebody who could make me be true and then be so blue. I need to be like just to be sad, thinking of you. Some others I see, they might never be me, what they wouldn't do. But nobody else gave me the thrills with all your thoughts. I love you still. It's got to be you that wanted to hold you, but it had to be you. I said it had to be you that wanted to hold you. It had to be you.
Beautiful. Nice work. So, the beginning of your journey, your guitar journey, did you grow up in a musical family? Did somebody put a guitar in your hand when you were a young lad? How did it start out for you?
The Fuller brush salesman put the guitar in my hand.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day, we're talking 1958, 1957. There used to be a company that would travel door to door selling music lessons. It was called the Canadian, wrong. What the hell was it called?
Canadian door-to-door music company.
Something like that, but they had in Ontario, they had 30 cities that this company was in. And for some reason, the name of the company has escaped me right now. It'll come as we talk. But they come in, and the idea was, they said at the door, talking to my parents, we could teach your child to play a song in 15 minutes. And they could. You had a choice. You got either, we called them Hawaiian guitars back then. Now they call them slide steels.
Like those Wassenborn, the Ben Harper played, that kind of stuff.
So, and it was a lap steel, so regular acoustic guitar, and you played it with a steel and picks. Or you got an accordion. My wife got the accordion. But she never played it. I got the guitar. And
what was the song you learned in 15 minutes?
oh, it's just Happy Birthday.
Oh,
Nice.
song
The
Great
reason,
selling point.
well, the whole point was that they could do it, and they did it with tablature, which has become quite common amongst the guitar player.
Right, absolutely, yeah.
Not so much in the rest of the world,
No,
or the rest of the musical world.
I didn't realize tablature went that far back.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
It did. It started in Nashville, long even before this company. The Ontario Conservatory of Music is the name of the company.
Okay.
And so I started playing Hawaiian guitar at age 9.
So did they sign you up for lessons and rent you the guitar? Like, how does that
Absolutely.
work? Okay.
You bought 10 lessons and you got a guitar that they rented you.
Okay.
It was a piece of junk that sat on your lap and you bought the picks and you had to buy the steel. So they sell you 10 lessons and they say, well, now you gotta pay for more lessons.
Right.
So mom and dad paid for more lessons, and 3 years down the road, they said, now you have to buy an electric Hawaiian guitar. They gotta keep making money.
Sure. Well, you got to keep the first kind of half junk, half good.
Oh,
guitar?
no.
They took that back on the trade-in?
That was only a rental. You didn't get to buy it.
Okay.
Wow.
So I got the new one and got pretty good at it. They used to run a concert thing for all of the companies. Ontario Conservatory of Music had, like I said earlier, about 50 cities that they were in. Some cities had 5 or 6, like Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
Hamilton had 2. One King and James above the Tamlin drugstore. I know you guys are all too young to know what the hell that is.
Right.
Well, you know. How come you look that good and I look this bad? And that's where I met my wife. But, so I started teaching on the Hill, and was fair at it. But by the time I was 13 or 14, I figured out that rock and roll doesn't sound too good on a Hawaiian guitar.
Okay, yeah. That's what I was going to ask you. Were you playing songs of the day, popular music? And what kind of songs were you
No,
playing?
you were playing whatever they were teaching you at the time to teach you music and the instrument.
Okay.
So some of it had country stuff in it. Some of the tunes were country. Some of the tunes were, shall we say, ancient, for lack of a better term.
Mm-hmm.
But none of it was top 40.
No.
So I wanted to learn how to play, we call them a Spanish guitar. The ones that you most see now. And I went to Dad and I said, Dad, I want to buy a guitar, I want to buy a Spanish guitar, will you pay for the lessons? And he said, no. But I said, no, I'm not paying for the lessons. I'll buy the guitar, you pay for the lessons. I should have said no.
Your bargaining was,
No. I just thought I was going to be getting my way. So he bought the guitar and I started paying for lessons because I was teaching for the Ontario Conservatory.
Oh, you're teaching by then?
Well, I was an assistant teacher. And in the Ontario Conservatory music business model is they had classes of 6 to 10 kids. And if you missed a lesson, you had to make it up. So they needed another teacher, an assistant, to teach you for the first half hour the lesson you missed.
Okay.
And then you go into class and get the new lesson from the actual teacher.
So everybody's on the same
So
page.
everybody's on the same page.
Right, makes sense.
So I did that, and that's what paid for the music lessons that I took. I think I took 10, maybe 12 lessons, joined a rock and roll band, and thought I was going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Playing Spanish guitar in the rock and roll?
Yeah, well, that kind of stuff.
Now, was that a Spanish guitar with nylon strings?
No,
No.
no, it was, they were all steel strings.
Okay.
Okay, you could get a classical one, but no, I did not have a classical one. It was steel string, and I was electric. So that's what I joined a rock and roll band and started playing. And when I was 15, I started making money.
Hello.
Nice.
I said, "Wow, what am I going to make a living?"
Were you playing around Hamilton then?
Yeah, we were just kids. It's like people in the neighborhood would hire us for a giggle because we were bad. So around, and I got better at being bad.
But even bad live music was good,
Well, apparently,
right?
apparently.
Yeah.
Around 22, 21, I was playing in a rock band, and I was playing with a gentleman by the name of Paul Benton. Again, most people don't know who he is, but Paul was, remember the Smith and Smith show from CHCA?
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
He was the musical director.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
And we stepped his B3 all over the country in the band that we were in. And I was still bad. And he told me one night I should take some guitar lessons, some music lessons. He
Was he
wasn't.
tell you in a kindly way, or did he?
Oh no, I was in the middle of a club. And I don't begrudge him for it because it was true. The truth of the matter is, he was right. So fortunately for me, he said, I can teach you writing an arrangement if you're interested. I said, okay, yeah, I'm interested. And it was really silly because the night he told me that I was terrible, I was driving. And he needed a ride home. But I understood because I knew that I wasn't very good. And luckily for me, he taught me. I studied with Paul for about a year and a half. And he said, I can't teach you anymore. You need to go to my teacher. So I ended up in Toronto for about 8 years studying with Fort Delamont. And at that time, anybody who was in Toronto that was any good had studied with Fort. All the arrangers, those kind of people.
Or was there a particular style that you were learning, or was it just overall music?
No, it was just music.
Theory and
It was just
arranging and all that?
Yeah. And when it got to be arranging, it was arranging for a 17-piece orchestra or smaller.
Okay, wow.
Okay, never symphonic, but it was always a big brass jazz band.
So you were charting as well?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was both charts, and about 2 years into that, studying with Gordon, I said, look, I need a guitar teacher. He said, funny you should ask. My best friend, he said, is Tony Braden. Tony was well known in the music community in Toronto because he played with all of the big bands in those days and did shows for the CBC, live music shows. So I started studying with Tony, and he would tell you that he didn't teach me anything. I taught him over myself, but he just gave me direction. Because I didn't want to play rock and roll anymore.
No.
The stuff that I play now, from
20s to the mid-50s, which is a bit of a lie. There's some newer things, but not many. It's the music that I love. And I could do this for 2 more lifetimes and
Right.
never scratch the surface. So,
This is the golden age of jazz, golden age of big band jazz,
Yeah.
jazz guitar.
and people still want to listen to it.
Sure, because they're great songs.
They are. So that's my general history.
Nice.
And by playing ability has to do with my hands, what's in my head, and what my guide showed me at the time.
Well, how about hitting us with something from your heart?
Well, I don't know what's from my heart, more like my belly. I don't want French fried potatoes, red tomatoes. I'm never satisfied. I want the cream clam sauce with the awesome patty and chipotle on her side. I don't want pork chops of bacon that'll awaken my appetite inside. I want that cream clam sauce with the awesome patty, chipotle on the side. Gonna should eat right. Fine, people get you 10. I'm gonna feed myself a right tonight. I don't want fish cakes or rabbit. You heard what I said. Wait up, please bring my fry. I want the cream clam sauce with the awesome patty, chipotle on her side. I don't want French fried potatoes or red tomatoes. I'm never satisfied. I want that red clam sauce with the awesome patty and chipotle on the side. I don't want pork chops or bacon that'll awaken my appetite inside. I want that red clam sauce with the awesome patty, chipotle on the side. Well, the fellas really got to eat. Fellas should eat right. Fine, to get you 10. I'm gonna feed myself right tonight. I don't want fish cakes or rabbit. You heard what I said. Wait up, please bring my fry. I want the cream clam sauce with the awesome patty and chipotle on her side. I want the cream clam sauce with the awesome patty and chipotle on the wrong side. And if you haven't got it, just bring me a check for the water.
So as you were intensively studying the arranging and the charting and the putting the arrangements for big jazz bands, were you also playing in big jazz bands?
Oh no, I'm told I don't play well with others.
So you've always been a solo artist,
I've
even though
always-
you were studying
since-
that aspect of
Since the
music.
time I started studying, I decided if I couldn't play swing and jazz, I quit. I've never been out of work since, doing what I do
Right.
by myself.
So it just didn't interest you to play in the big
I like
jazz
what
bands?
they do,
Right.
but when I was studying with Braden, he taught me, or showed me how to get those big band arrangements out of one guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted people to know that guitar is a solo instrument, not just the piano.
Right.
You can't say that about a horn.
True.
I mean, you can listen to a horn for what, 5 minutes? And now you're bored.
Yeah.
Right? I know that. If I play instrumentals, oh my God, the audience is, they want to hear the lyrics too.
Mhm.
Having a band allows you more room. However, as I said, I'd like to know, the people to know, that this is a solo instrument. It can be done alone.
For sure.
So, and there are guys out there who don't sing and do it alone. I can see his face right now. I can't remember his name. He's from New Zealand or Australia. Guitar player, hell of a guitar player. Another guy from Wales, Martin Taylor, a solo guitarist. He plays with bands, and because he likes the idea of having money in his pocket, so he gets paid to do it. Well, as do I, but
But he just does instrumental music.
yes, it's straight. He would do a straight instrumental show because he doesn't sing. But I've seen him play with a band, and he was at Hamilton Place way back when it was called Hamilton Place. With
I still call it that.
so do I. He was with Stefan Grappelli and the guy from Toronto, the jazz player from Toronto. And he plays guitar. He plays jazz.
Nice.
He was a great player, and still in my mind, again, his name will come to me in a minute. But I saw Grappelli play with Taylor at Hamilton Place, bass player and this other guitar player that I can't remember right now. It was marvelous, and I can do this with a horn player.
Mhm.
I don't play too well with piano players
No.
because they want to play when I want to play. I'm always in my way.
They want your notes.
So I play with single note guys that play a million notes in a bar, saxophonists, trumpets, trombones. It makes a nice duo or quartet, and I look after everything else.
Right.
I did a show last Sunday for a friend, and they asked me if I would play a tune and let this gentleman sing it. And I said, yeah, we can do that. And again, I look after everything else.
Yeah.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, bright blessed day, a dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Now the colors of the rainbow are pretty in the sky. They're also on the faces, people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying that I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They learn much more than I'll ever know. Think to myself,
What a wonderful world. Now the colors of the rainbow are pretty in the sky. They're also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying that I love you. I hear babies who cry. I've watched them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Wonderful.
Funny how conversations lead to things.
Yes, it is. So you, once you realized that that was your mission, you were a self-sustained solo artist. Did you book gigs? Have you
Oh, yeah,
been,
no.
all over Toronto? Have you been
Oh, no,
taking,
they don't pay enough money for me to go to Toronto.
no.
But I do work the Niagara Peninsula. I've put in 25 years at the Pepperwood Bistro.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
I've been
yes.
Sunny Brunch there for 25 years.
Yeah.
Nice.
Pepperwood Bistro, man.
Now they can't afford me.
That's
That's such is life. I understand. The
Right.
restaurant business is a lot. I would never, ever be in the restaurant business. It's bad enough being a musician trying to make a living.
No, the margins are tight.
Yes, they are.
Yes.
They're very tight.
So is that what you did when you started becoming a professional? You established kind of steady gigs?
Oh, yeah, yes, I have steady work still. I don't have to do too much actual promotion. By that, I mean, walk into a club, say, I want to talk to the boss.
Right. Here's
And
my-
say, here's my card, here's a CD.
Yeah.
See what you want. Now people hire me, word of mouth. I mean, I've been doing it for 65 years.
Right.
So, that said, people know who I am. They may have never met me, but they've heard about me,
Yes.
which I find hard to believe. I can't imagine anybody wanting to talk about me, but apparently they do.
Well, because you're.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Still your biggest fan.
Thank you so much.
And you've been. So you're as busy as you want to be, basically, or?
Essentially, yes, but I listen, to a fault, I'll take a gig at any time if I can make from one to the other.
Right.
There have been, in my career, I'd be playing, for argument's sake, I'd be at the Pepperwood on Sunday morning. I'd have a gig Sunday afternoon at 5 o'clock, being able to get to it for an hour or whatever it was, and then go to another club Sunday night.
We're triple dipping.
Oh, yes.
So look at you.
Oh, yes. I can't do that anymore.
No.
I'm too old. My body will not let me do it anymore.
Okay.
So now it's just one date a day. If I have multiple dates. This weekend, from last Sunday, there was Sunday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday,
of this week and Sunday.
Yes,
So,
that's a healthy schedule.
oh yes,
Yeah.
I got no complaints.
And what about taking it out, I know I have a couple of friends who can do versatile solo work, and I know there's work on cruise ships and that kind of stuff, but trains, have you ever thought about that?
They can't afford me.
No, they can't
The
afford it.
reason for they can't afford me is because there's no way in this world, in this life, that she that must be obeyed will let me go on a cruise ship by myself.
Okay,
And she ain't,
now we're talking dynamics, management,
and she's not gonna want to be in steerage for her room.
No.
It's not, you know, she wants to have a stateroom, and when I say that, the people who have run the steamboat thing, we can't afford it.
she saw Titanic. Rolled in.
Either that or heard about the swinging cruise.
So that's been the problem. And fortunately for me, I've never, ever been on the road.
No, wow.
Nice.
Never.
Nice.
Just GTA and Niagara Peninsula.
That's it.
Yeah.
I drive, well, the other thing I don't like about being on the road is I hate sleeping in somebody else's bed.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like sleeping in my
home.
own bed. I
Nice.
go home. So when I was gigging in London, Ontario, and working at a day job that I had here, I traveled back and forth 5 days a week. 5 days,
On that
2 hours in
401.
London, on the 401,
Blasting.
2 hours back.
Right.
And so I get home around 1 o'clock, get up in the morning, at 7 o'clock, go to work, come home, change, drive to London.
Full-time day job, full-time night job.
Yep.
Wow.
So, but as I've told many people, all I ever did in my life was make money and have fun. My wife did all of the work. So when I see people and they ask me if I will play at their wedding, the first thing I do is talk to the young lady and say, don't get married. You have no idea what the problem is.
Relationship counseling and solo guitar
Don't get married because he's gonna have fun and you're gonna do all the work. And I don't know a woman who will not agree with me. Right?
playing. Right?
I've never been married, but I believe you.
Well, mine has been with me for 60 years.
Nice.
Years.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
stuff. Good stuff.
Well, I will say that it was 60 years married, but 55 years churched.
Yes?
Because I met her when we were teenagers.
Okay.
And 6 months in, I knew we were getting married. Not because of what she said, because that was me. I wanted her. And then she was silly enough to say yes when I asked. And I keep telling her it's her fault. You could have said no.
But be honest on her.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not my fault.
Her
All of a
choice.
sudden you want to do this.
Yeah.
Could have said no.
Could have said no.
Could've said no.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think you've had things your way for quite a few
A
decades.
long time.
Yeah. Yes.
A funny story. I also lived in the same house that we bought when we were first married. We got to be friends with some of the neighbors, and I'm outside, sitting on the front porch, rehearsing.
Sure. What's better than sitting on the front porch with a guitar?
And my darling wife is sitting or working in the garden, busting her butt, sweating and all that stuff. A good neighbor from across the street comes across the road, says, why don't you get off your
Blank.
and help your wife? And I didn't get to say yes, no, maybe, nothing. She stood up and said, you leave him alone, he's got to practice and he can't play. Thanks, dear.
You don't have to do anything around here.
No.
Spoiled.
You could have said
Spoiled.
you were motivating her with your guitar playing.
That could have been, but I didn't get a chance to say anything before she opened her mouth and said, leave him alone, he's got to practice.
Nice.
Well, you just go with what's working. If it ain't broke, it ain't broke, man.
No, I
Keep
didn't.
it going.
No.
Yes. Absolutely.
Could you imagine Heather doing that?
No.
Gary Long is reading a comic book. Leave him alone. Really? No.
Well, not only does she do that, she makes my outfits.
Quite
Nice.
smartly done also as well, yes. Very, very nice.
Now, interestingly
Nice work.
enough, she has more money tied up in sewing machines than I have tied up in gear. If you can believe that.
I find it hard to believe, but if you tell me it's so, then I will have to
How
believe
many
it.
sewing machines does she have to how many guitars you have?
She has more sewing machines than I have guitars. But she uses all of them, and sometimes at the same
Does
time.
she have?
Well,
Does she
the
have
computer
hands?
control.
Or
Oh,
less?
okay.
Okay.
Oh, jeez.
So she's got,
They're tethered together.
kind of, but she'll put a design in, there's a new shirt coming that has a big embroidery on the front of it of a dragon that shaped itself around a treble clef.
Okay.
It's about that tall. So when I get that, that'll be next to the next.
And are these going to be on your merch page? These
No,
shirts?
they're not for
Sell
sale.
to the website.
The reason they're not for sale is
The
because,
merch.
the reason they're not for sale because she hates working to a deadline, and if you're gonna sell them, she's gotta make them.
Okay.
That ain't gonna work.
No. All right.
She only makes them for me.
Nice.
Nice. Custom made.
Yeah.
Custom guitars, custom shirts,
Yes, exactly.
custom tunes.
So, life is good, I can't complain.
You're not complaining. I don't hear you complain once.
Now, I think this is a little new. I don't know whether I'll play it all, because it's rather long. Knew a man, both channels, he danced for you. In a worn-out shoe, silver hair and ragged shirt, baggy pants. There's the old soft shoe. You could jump so high. You could jump so high. Then he lightly touched down. I met him in a cell in New Orleans. I was down and out. He looked at me to be the eyes of me. As he spoke right out, he talked of life, and as he talked of life, laughing slapishly, a stare. Said to me, oh, Jacobs. And then he danced that way. Across the cell, Grab his pants, roll that feather set, so he could jump so very high. Then he could lick his heels. He let go of the line, and as he let go of that line, he shake back his clothes all around. Mr. Bojangles, Mr. Bojangles, Mr. Bojangles, won't you dance? Dance with those in minstrel shows and county fairs. Throughout the South, talk with tears in 15 years, how this dog it be. They traveled about. This dog up and down, up and down. After 20 years, he's still free. He said a dance, now at every chance, in honky tonks. For drinks and tips. Most of the time, I spend behind these here comedy bars. Because you see, son, I drinks just a bit. He shook his hand, and as he shook his hand, I heard someone ask, please, please. Mr. Bojangles, Mr. Bojangles, Mr. Bojangles, won't you dance? You got to dance. Mr. Bojangles.
Beautiful. Beautiful work, Michael.
Thank you.
Now, is there, from within that era of jazz that you kind of concentrate, keep your own, you draw from that well? Is there guitarists from that era that you admire or emulate, or have you just kind of come up with your own kind of take on it?
These are all my charts, and all of the stuff that I play, you can't sound like a big band.
No.
So,
But I mean, the guitarists at that time within those bands, are there guys that you admired or that you took particular note of?
Freddie Green I admired, and he never played a melody in his life.
Yeah.
He was Count Basie's guitarist, and he was a chunker.
Yeah, just the chunks, yeah.
It's amazing he could do that for an entire gig.
Right.
It drive me nuts.
Yeah, yeah.
But there were other guys, Charlie Christian and the like, many guys that played. The biggest influence on me, his name is Tony Brayton. He's the guy that I studied with.
You studied with, yeah.
And he played with, none of you will know, because you're not old enough, but he played with the Mark Kenny Orchestra. Mark Kenny traveled Canada, and it was called the Canadian Country Gentlemen. And before they tore the Brand Inn down, I got to play where Mark Kenny played. Because they would come to town and fill that venue.
Right.
And so Canadian big band.
Nice.
Shall we say, the most prominent one. There were others, but that was the most prominent one. And Rob McConnell, of course, is who everybody associates now with Big Band Jazz out of Canada. Unfortunately, Rob has passed. Again, he was a student of Cordello's, my teacher. And that's where I come from. That's the kind of stuff that I want to play.
Right.
It's kind of the stuff that I like to hear. And I will go and see shows by other people, but I'm not going to play
No.
that kind of material. The other thing is that because I do it alone, I have to come up with an arrangement that sounds something like the tune that was written.
Sure. You have quite a percussive style as well that,
Yes.
that incorporates into your playing.
It
Gives
does.
it that much more oomph, I find.
Yeah.
Yes,
And the whole
nicely.
point of it is that we'll make it close and you'll recognize the tune,
Mhm.
but it's still me playing solo guitar, trying to sound like a big 17-piece band.
Right.
Not possible, but I try.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Are there people like outside of the realm of that? Say, I know somebody who I've admired that doesn't fit into that genre, but somebody like Django Reinhardt.
oh, absolutely.
You can appreciate the gypsy jazz stuff and
I
something
can.
he could do.
But my problem is that you can't do that by yourself.
No,
I've tried.
right?
It doesn't work by yourself.
Yeah,
You have to have the chunker, the rhythm guitar player, and then you can go nuts and play single note lines and all of that.
Mhm.
But these don't move that fast.
No.
Never have. But I admire the guys who can play a million notes in a bar. I cannot.
yeah,
I can play 100 chords in a bar because that's what I do. But, and the other part of it is when you hear, again, if it was just Django Reinhardt playing, there are people who will listen to him for more than 5 minutes if there's nobody behind him.
Mhm.
But at 10 minutes, you're going to lose a lot of his audience.
yeah, true enough.
Unless he starts playing harmony. And he could play a little bit of harmony.
Right.
But to play solo guitar and play one note at a time, no,
No.
not me. I can't do it anyway. I mean, my hands don't work that way.
Mhm.
So.
You've done some recording along
Oh,
the
yeah, I
years?
have-
You've
I have-
recorded a couple of albums.
I have 2 albums, 2 CDs actually. One was done by one of my students. He came in one day and he said, "We got some new gear. We'd like you to try it out before we start selling our services."
Oh, okay.
And I said, like an idiot, sure. So, and his name was Paul Stepanis, was because he died very young. Anyway, one day we were in the studio and it happened over 4 Sundays. They said, "We want you to play whatever you want to play, but play it 3 times in a row. And we'll take the best cut of whatever 3 and 5 off."
Mhm.
And I said, "Okay." Well, the second Sunday, another guy came in that I knew, and he had other gear. And we again did that, started doing the cuts of that day. And he come out of the sound room or the control room, walked into where I was playing, and he said, "This is gonna make a great album." And I said, "Pardon?" And then Paul, the guy who was the instigator, came out of the control room and said, "We know that you will never do this on your own because you don't think you're good enough. So this is what it's about."
They tricked you.
Yep, they did.
Yeah.
So that's how I got my first album done. The second one I did at,
Grant?
no, not Grant. I can see their faces. Freedom Train, the guy who was.
Oh, Carl Jones.
I
Right.
did Carl's, the second one I did at Carl's.
Burlington.
Oh, he may be not, but it was, he had a studio in Parkdale when I did the last one.
Oh, okay.
Right on, just below Barton Street, there's a gray building beside the, Steelworkers Union Hall.
Yes.
That was the studio. I don't know whether it still is or not. Tom Biggis also works over there, or did.
And it was the same again, just you doing a couple of takes on your songs and then
Yeah.
picking the best ones? And was it fast in and out process?
Yeah,
for
it
you?
only took Like the first time it took a while because
You guys are learning
they were learning, but that was a lie too. But they were learning how to use it to do it better.
right?
But Carl knew how to do it, so I went in, did 3 twos, and in one day, or 1 6-hour session, I was done.
Beautiful.
So, and when you work alone, it's only you.
Yep.
You know the material or you don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's how it works.
That's great. And you took these CDs around and sold them at the shows and.
I carry them, but I don't. I'm terrible.
You're a terrible businessman.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When people say, "Why don't you promote?" I said, I don't have that kind of an ego. It takes a certain kind of ego to say, "You need to buy this."
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Often what it takes to be a great salesman is divergent from what it takes to be an artist. Those
Absolutely.
two things are sometimes mutually exclusive.
Well, a good salesman is an artist of his own.
Right.
He is an artist of his own. Now, he doesn't do pictures. He doesn't make music.
The sale is the art.
The sale is the art.
Yes.
So, no different than the art of the con. It's I mean, he's got to convince you that you need a new toilet.
Yes.
And they can.
I actually do need a new toilet. My toilet tank is broken. Funny, the universe is just reminding me things.
It always will.
Never had a broken toilet tank before. Anyway, it's been a great pleasure having you here today on Shake It Up Radio here at Cat and Fiddle.
Well, thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you and listening to you and being beside you. And if you could play us out, that would be wonderful. Put your hands together, everybody. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been great. I've been Michael Mcguire. Thanks for listening and look after one another.
Yeah.
Amen.
Thank you.
This concludes our Shake It Up broadcast on CanTunes.ca, live from the Cat and Fiddle, 174 John Street South at Augusta in Hamilton. Recorded in front of a pub audience, looking for love, one drink at a time. Thank you so much for Michael Mcguire and the Whiskey Chasers duo. Next week's guests, the Lowdown Dirty Mojo, Jocelyn June and the Bugs, and the Jeff Dudley Band. For famous Ramus, Kimberly Robin and me, your humble mouthpiece. Happy Valentine's Day. Have a great long weekend. Thanks for listening.